Hey guys, my name is Gordon Koopman. I am the owner of St. Ron Training, and if it's your first time on this channel, I do weekly videos that typically talk about fitness and nutrition, but I think a big part of life that is often missed in health and wellness is psychology, mental health, and spiritual experience, which we could also translate to our lived experience. And my brand, Saint Wrong, a saint is a patient teacher, and wrong is the humbleness or inevitability that at one point we're going to make mistakes. And if more people were just vulnerable, if people really were vulnerable, is what I should say, um, we'd all eventually need to step off the line at one point and admit a fault, um, and take responsibility for that. But in today's video, where I'm going to go is more into vulnerability. To be completely honest with you guys, I have sat in front of my phone and probably recorded about 4 hours of just me talking to the camera. And I think just overthinking because I'm trying to share things from a perspective that really can't be combated, and I need to just generally be vulnerable and make more I statements because it's what I live through and what I feel. And in this video, I'm going to reflect on 5 big things that may seem common sense, but could be a good reminder to apply to your life, if it sticks. If you feel like you hear me talking and it hits a nerve or sparks curiosity, I think that's probably a good word. Then it's probably something that would be worth exploring for yourself. I'm not making these vulnerable posts in the sense of like I have the answers, but more in the lines of this is just my lived human experience, and in some ways you may relate or feel like you have challenges in the same spaces or areas, and this could help maybe spark a change or give you a different perspective. And on that note of talking to the camera for 4 hours, first thing is fear and excitement physiologically are almost identical. And what I mean by that is the emotions themselves aren't identical, but what our body feels in the moment absolutely is identical. Spark of cortisol. I find for myself, like when competing in the Arnold this year, I liked a Brene Brown quote that was essentially like the man in the arena. Just there, like it takes courage to be in the arena, and this is life. We're all in the arena, and to have courage. And with an experience, if my mind went blank, like absolutely just froze, couldn't think of an answer or solution, I knew that was fear, and I needed to lean into it more. And if it was excitement, then I just took it as excitement and kept going. The next thing that I reflected on a lot in 2025 was I have a tendency of always being in coach mode or always trying to help or give my 2 cents, and helping others grow. I think what I've realized this year often just requires more listening and asking better questions. It's not often that we can just talk a lesson into somebody unless they are in, I would say, great pain. But if they're in great pain, it's probably more likely that they are seeking an answer. So I've been trying to practice listening better and being more present when listening instead of relating it to maybe my past experience and just being in that person's shoes. But then oftentimes, if you just encourage and step back, a lot of times people figure it out on their own, and I find that that gives them a lot more confidence in themselves. I have an issue with constantly doubting my intelligence. And I had a friend recently share with me is intelligence has nothing to do with it. And I think it was a Naval quote, but it was just like, if you're so smart, or if you have all the answers, why aren't you happy? Which I think just goes back to the idea that like we're all constantly learning, growing, and we need to accept that. Honestly, if we can just be open to listening more, there's a lot that can be learned from listening and then applying and resetting. Next one, goals and dreams often don't come to fruition how we plan or imagine. 35 for a long time. I had very high aspirations when I was a kid of being a professional bodybuilder. Even though I stood on stage with a lot of people that have achieved the rank of professional bodybuilder, and I have very dear friends that have competed even in Olympia, making peace with the fact that it taught me a lot of lessons, but I'm taking those skills into the next part of life, which has been pretty awesome. I'm really proud of myself for all the effort and the things I've learned and the friends I've made and the communities I've built having that hobby. And then the last one, this one is a little more recent, but I was sort of nodding off in space when I was driving home today, and I have a very hard time accepting compliments for people. I can't tell you why, I just don't. And I've come to my own terms with the fact that like my serotonin and my joy shouldn't be dependent, I think, on other people's compliments. But those compliments should be internal. And the internal compliment needs to be genuine. So it's almost like just like a really positive self-talk, but a critical and honest self-talk. And for example, something that I'm very proud of is sticking to the YouTube channel. I really kind of turned on following this process and system of learning how to do this at the end of November, and now we're at the end of December, and my channel has already grown by about 200 subscribers, which has been really cool because, again, my ruminating thoughts told me for a long time that I don't know it all. I don't have much to say, but the truth is, like, I've learned a lot. I don't know everything, but I think there is a gap, a space where people aren't actually just being vulnerable and sharing, because I think just that connection between people creates a peace, like you don't have to have it all figured out, but instead we'll, figure it out together, whether it's like this community or your communities that you surround yourself with. You're not done till you're done, so keep going. But that word I found when I was kind of looking for one word. In English, there isn't one. Self-sufficiency, inner peace were kind of what came up the most, but there is a Latin word called autarky. I've never heard it either, and it's self-rule, implying a broader state rather than just joy. And I like that. I think it connects a little bit to this Stoic idea, but can we have the self-rule to be at peace with who we are, the decisions we make, and where we're going? remembering that we are not our thoughts and we are our actions. So those are kind of the big 5 things I've been pondering or taken away from 2025. And I look forward to pushing this YouTube channel wherever it goes into 2026. I'd love if you stayed, hung out, subscribed, left comments, because this channel is for guys that are isolating, just seeking wisdom, growth, and want to take care of themselves. So, love you guys. Stay strong.